All right, let's get right into it. Something really big happened in Europe's electric car market back in 2025. I mean, it was a year of insane growth, but it was also a year of a shocking collapse, and it completely redrew the map of who's winning the race for the future of driving.
You know, when a market is booming like this, you'd think all the major players would be riding that wave, right? But as you're about to see, the real, jaw-dropping story of 2025, it isn't just about the winners. It's about a giant of the industry that suddenly found itself in a total freefall.
And when I say the market exploded, I really mean it. The scale of this shift is just massive. Globally, by the end of 2025, about 1 out of every 4 new cars sold was electric. This wasn't some niche trend anymore. This was a full-blown automotive revolution.
And you can see exactly how that global trend slammed into Europe right here. The market share for pure battery electric vehicles, we're talking just the BEVs, it jumped from 13.6% to a record 17.4% in just 1 year. That is a huge leap, and it shows millions of European drivers making the switch.
So, what was behind this whole thing? Well, it was kind of the perfect storm of factors. First off, you've got stricter EU emissions targets that are basically forcing car makers to go electric. Then, that old charging anxiety is starting to feel like a thing of the past, with over 1 million public chargers across the continent. Plus, there's just way more choice than ever before. And maybe most important, battery costs finally dropped enough to make EVs affordable for a lot more people. So, with a market this hot, you'd assume every single all-electric car company would be popping champagne and celebrating record sales, wouldn't you? Well, that's where the story takes a really fascinating and pretty unexpected turn.
This is the number that absolutely shocked the industry. While the EV market was surging, Tesla sales across Europe didn't just slow down, they completely collapsed. A staggering 27.8% drop year over year. In a growth market like this, a drop like that is, well, it's almost unheard of.
And this just shows you the problem was everywhere. This was a continental bloodbath for the company. I mean, just look at the drop in Sweden, almost 67%, over 53% in Belgium. And Germany, which was once Tesla's biggest growth engine, saw its sales get cut nearly in half. This was not a blip. It was a systemic collapse.
So what on earth went wrong? Well, analysts are pointing to a mix of things. For one, Tesla's lineup, which is mostly the Model 3 and Y, it started to feel a bit stale next to a flood of fresh new competition. A production slowdown for the Model Y refresh early in the year definitely didn't help. But there were also some brand image issues, with reports citing the CEO's polarizing public profile as a real factor for some of those socially conscious European buyers.
And that intense competition, it has a name. While Tesla was stumbling, a new challenger was pulling off a nearly perfect entry into the European market, and the results were, well, they were explosive.
I mean, this comparison just says it all, doesn't it? While Tesla's sales fell by nearly 28%, the Chinese automaker BYD saw its sales skyrocket by an incredible 268%. This is market disruption happening in real time, right before our eyes.
And listen, this isn't just hype. As industry analyst Felipe Munoz points out, this is about a fundamental shift in how consumers see things. European drivers are looking at these new models and seeing them as credible, competitive alternatives, and they are voting with their wallets.
So how did BYD pull this off? Their strategy was basically a three-punch combo. First, price. They launched affordable, really appealing models that just hit that sweet spot in the market. Second, they offered different powertrains. And this is key. They didn't just offer pure EVs, they had plug-in hybrids. This captured a huge chunk of the market that still wants the flexibility of a gas engine, a segment Tesla's all-electric strategy just completely ignores. And third, presence. They committed to Europe by building local factories, basically telling everyone, we're here for the long haul.
All of this has completely changed the game. We're now looking at a brand new EV battlefield in Europe. And it's not just a two-horse race anymore between an American innovator and a Chinese challenger. Oh no, the old-school giants are very much in the game.
And it's so important to remember this context. Despite all the drama, when you zoom out and look at the entire car market, the European titans like Volkswagen, Stellantis, and Renault are still firmly in control. They see this new competition, and believe me, they are rapidly adapting their own EV strategies, learning from both Tesla's stumbles and BYD's success.
Now, a huge piece of this new battlefield is trade policy. For a little while, it looked like the EU might smack Chinese EVs with some really harsh tariffs, but instead, they made a deal called a price undertaking. Basically, in simple terms, the Chinese brands agreed not to sell their cars too cheaply. This helps level the playing field for European car makers, but it also means that the competition from China is absolutely here to stay.
So why does any of this matter to you? Well, for anyone thinking about their next car, this big three-way battle is fantastic news. It means more choice, it means more innovation, and it means more competitive pricing as all these companies fight for your business. You're getting a front-row seat to a complete reordering of the entire auto industry.
The events of 2025 really proved that in this new electric era, no one's dominance is guaranteed. The market is more dynamic and more unpredictable than ever. So the question isn't if Europe will go electric anymore, but who will ultimately win over the European driver? Will it be the legacy giants, the American innovator, or the new challengers from the East? The race is on. Thanks so much for joining me.